Subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to never miss an update.
I know you have come for an event on finance careers, but how many here have no idea about what they want to do? Okay, there are 4 hands, but I think there possibly will be more. It's just that you don't want to publicly say that, or maybe sometimes we are in denial about our own lack of direction in life. But anyway, I mean, at least for all the courageous people who put their hands up, I just want to say that I feel you, bro, because I am that guy for the longest part of my life. That's how I was. Some people could actually argue that I'm still the same person, but so the thing is that I did not have specific career dream कि मुझे ये बनना है या मुझे वो करना है very clearly. I think when you are growing up in India, typically you first get so when I was a child I got attracted to cricket, so I wanted to become Sachin Tendulkar. Then post that when I started growing a little, I felt maybe I should become a film star. I mean, then I looked at myself in the mirror and realized that's not going to be possible. Then you look at, so some people start telling you that, okay, if there was a phase when you want to become Steve Jobs because iPhone has just come out, and so every possible trend that would happen in the market, I would be attracted to that trend. So I have no loyalty towards any career, towards anything, because that looks sexy, everybody wants, and I think that's a very natural thing that happens to a lot of young people. I think there's nothing wrong if you are going through a similar phase where you don't know what is it you want to do, because I think there is an innate desire to be liked, to become popular. Sometimes the desire is to make a lot of money. Sometimes the desire is to just become very, very famous and live a life of a star. So I'm just saying that all of that happens. You might want to become Mukesh Ambani. Then at some point of time, you will lower your expectations and you will be like, okay, I probably cannot become an Ambani in this lifetime, but can I become like the CEO of an Ambani company or any other MNC company? And then you start calibrating your expectations about life in different ways. So I think for a long part of my life, I just spent time directionless in a way. So when I was in college, I was also in Narsimhanji College, not very far from here. I spent a lot of time. Most of the things that I learned in my college life were outside the classroom. So I was general secretary of my college. I was leading my college festival, which I thought was far more important than anything that I learned in the classroom. And I was really, really, proud of the fact that I was chairperson of UMANG, and that was the thing that I kept on with myself. Post that, at that point of time, my parents said that, you can't just be doing BCom, because there is no difference between being a BCom and not having a degree, because BCom is not a degree. That's essentially how people started saying, and I was like, okay, yeah, maybe then I need to do something about it. So because my parents were really keen that I do a CA, I enrolled for the CA program, and I cleared we had a CA foundation exam, which is now called PE1, or now it's called CPT. It used to be called PE1. Then post that I qualified for the second CA exam as well, a CA Inter, and I had no intention of doing it. I used to curse myself every day I used to study for CA, because I had no interest in it. It's just that, you need that degree. I'm sure maybe Meeti fell in love with CA at some point of time, but I definitely never did. And I, just ensured that I was passing the exams. The only thing is that, you tend to get influenced by people in your college. Sometimes seniors and people that you meet. And we had a few people who had just gotten into IIMs back then, from our college. And that kind of, I felt like this looks like a interesting thing to do, because simple logic. Then, when I used to open the newspapers, I used to see people, only talking about IIMs. Okay, IIM graduates got this much salary, IIM graduates. So I thought maybe that's a way to become popular, or at least be known as being part of a special group in the country. And that's how my attraction towards the IIM started at that point of time. And so at some point of time I made the decision that maybe it's important to let go of everything and focus on CAT, because that's something that will probably take me where I want. I had no intention of making a career in finance. I was interested in aspects of finance because of, when you are in a place like Narsimunji, amongst so many CAs and CSs and people who eventually work for equity research firms, my family is very big, they are all interested in the stock markets. So there are parts of equity markets that I found really interesting and I still find them really interesting. I think it's like a game. I mean, I wouldn't go to the extent of calling it a casino. I mean, some people would say it's almost like a casino, but it's a very interesting thing. Though, like for example, Niti hates markets. I feel like the volatility and the vibrancy of markets is what is exciting about a market. And that kind of looking at the screen is interesting for me. Like tracking how stocks go up and go down. And that I used to do as a personal thing. So for example, after I graduated, while I was preparing for CAT, I had actually started a fund for people around me. We called it Prayog, where we would research certain companies and then invest money in those companies. So take money from people. Well, none of this is SEBI-registered. This is just like a private fund that I was running on the side as a rookie. CA, and this was my limited this with finance. But at no point of time was there any clear this. I didn't have a dream to be an investment banker or a corporate banker or anything of that. So it's clearly not something I wanted to do. What happened next was when we were taking the CA final exam, when I literally did not want to even take that exam. But I had gotten IIM calls and I was on the wait list everywhere, and it seemed like I would not convert any of the IIMs that I had gotten calls for. And hence I had to kind of take the CA exam, because if I had converted any of the IIM calls, I would probably not have even gone and sat for the exam. But I did not convert. And while I was, taking, it was also an election year, 2009, and hence the exams had gotten postponed from May to June. So while we were taking the exams, and one of the days suddenly, somebody messaged me saying that, maybe your waitlist is moving at IIM Indore. And I had completely given up hopes because my waitlist number was 225. Now the batch at that time used to be 240. Usme se if my waitlist number is 225, there was no hope in hell. And there was no precedence in the previous years where the waitlist would have moved so much. But for whatever reason, I think one of the older IIMs like Ahmedabad or Bangalore, they increased their batch size or whatever. So the waitlist movement happened in a bigger way. And suddenly, I just got a call one day before the session is going to start that I'm going to get a chance to be at IIM Indore. And though it wasn't my first choice school at that point of time, because everybody thinks that they want to only go to the best place, right? So I want to go to only IIM Ahmedabad. Why should I go to any other school? I think it was a split-second decision. I said, a lot of my teachers and my parents and relatives are like, you are just being ungrateful. Just accept what you got and take it up. So just instinctively took the call. Next morning I was on the Indore campus and my MBA journey started. And even there, my dream company after I joined in was to get into Unilever. After I joined B school, I got calls from every single company that came to shortlist, on campus because of my previous profile. But I was hell bent on going into Unilever. I did get a Unilever call as well. I say this a lot of times. I think my team must have gotten bored hearing of this. But like every single group discussion I have cleared in my life, but I have not cleared the Unilever group discussion. The only company that I really ever wanted to go to. And that didn't happen at all. And the thing is, because I wanted to only get into Unilever, I said no to everything else that I had got calls previously for. So I had gotten calls from Standard Chartered Bank, Deutsche Bank, HSBC Bank. When you are young, you have a very ignorant and arrogant attitude. So I said, "Yaar, bank mein kaun kaam karega?" That's basically because I had no idea about what a bank does. For me, working in a bank meant as if it's going to be a really boring, pointless kind of a job. Like who wants to do that? Whereas Unilever seemed cooler. And you see a pattern, right? I get attracted to everything that seems cool. May not necessarily always be cool, but it seemed cool, right? So anyway, I said no to all those great banks, and then eventually, because I was left with no option, I had to settle for, and again, see, this is my arrogance speaking, when I say I had to settle for Tata Capital. It's a great company, but I'm just saying that I, at that point of time, felt that, so I did my internship at Tata Capital. My mentor sat with me on the first day and he said, this is the project I have for you. And I, again, like an arrogant, stupid person, I said, this is not something that is interesting to me. And he was a very compassionate, nice man. So he said, I understand you are here only for 2 months and I don't want you to be sitting here with a grumpy face doing this. So you tell me what you want to do. I will give you that kind of a... Because anyway, it's not like I'm going to change the fortunes of Tata Capital by staying there for 2 months. That's definitely not going to happen, right? So he was a very smart man. He said, ठीक है, तुझे क्या करना है? तू बता, I'll give you that project. So we invented a project called acquisition funding in the FMCG sector. I have no clue what that means, what it entailed. But I said, sir, because I didn't get to go to Unilever. So I said, now I will go and meet every FMCG company through this. So then I went and met the CFOs of all the FMCG companies in Mumbai to do research on this. Then after that, this is 2010. When I was coming back in 2011, I realized that the way to be cool is to not sit for placements only. I'll start my own company. Why sit for placements? Who wants to compete with everybody in the rat race? So I said, I will start my own company. And thankfully we had a couple of professors on campus who said that, why don't you come to my office and show me what your business plan is? So I said, yeah, sir, of course. And I thought that I have like this genius business plan because I'm the next Steve Jobs. So I went and started talking to them. So they all just looked at me. And this happened like sequentially because I met one, then I met the other. One of them said that you are so scared of not being able to find a job, you are so unemployable that to escape you are trying to start a company of your own. So you prove to me that you can get a job, that you're good enough to get a job on campus. The other one said, I don't think you have a business plan. It doesn't make sense. You should probably not do this. So ऐसा थोड़ा सा ego मैंने ऐसा fold कर दिया. And then I went and told the placement committee कि अभी मुझे placement के लिए बैठना है. And like half the batch had already placed by then. Lot of really good companies had gone. Like BCG had gone away, McKinsey had gone away. A lot of real Deutsche Bank had gone away, Goldman Sachs had gone away. So it's not like I had a lot of options. The other thing is that in the 2 years in B school I did nothing. Like my grades were ridiculously low. I was ranked 168 in 240. So ऐसे भी मतलब अभी मैं बोल रहा हूँ BCG and McKinsey went away. It's not like I had a chance to get there. So, but it's just that's how your attitude is. When you're young, I think you have that attitude. So then what happened after that was very strangely 2011 was a good year. Generally after the financial crisis, placements on B schools were very, very poor. But 2011 was like this one spike, and then again after that it kind of slipped, especially in the financial services space. And Bank of America Merrill Lynch walked in at like 11 PM in the night saying that we want to hire people. So then this placement committee guy called me saying that company आई है, do you want to sit? अगर नहीं भी apply करना होगा तो at least come and sit. Because I was very good at asking questions in pre-placement talks. So क्या होता है generally on campuses when companies come for talks, you have to show interaction that you are actually interested है. Like अभी for example तुम लोगों ने अभी question नहीं पूछा सत्या सर को, right? But on campus what happens is that the placement committee puts like a gun on your head and says that इतने 5 questions तो companies को पूछने ही हैं कुछ भी करके. You have to display interactivity compulsorily, and this happens on every single campus in this country. Basically, he said कि खुद ने तो at least 2-3 अच्छे question पूछने हैं ताकि वो लोग को लगे कि हम लोग interested हैं. And then I sat for the pre-placement and I found what they were saying to be mildly interesting. So I just directly walked up to them and said, I haven't applied to this company before because the job description that you sent was very boring. But now after listening to you, I feel that maybe it is interesting. So can I apply? So Babu, who eventually became my boss, he was very, he said, yeah, of course, I appreciate you coming and telling me this. Give me your CV. So he took my CV. Then I got called for an interview at 1 AM in the night. The interview went on for I think about 1.5, 2 hours till about 3 AM. And then 4:30 AM I got a call saying that you made it. Make sure that at 7 AM you are ready for a breakfast with these guys at the Radisson. And I was like, wow, this is like pura game change ho gaya. Suddenly overnight everything is. The interesting thing is, and even at that point of time, I honestly didn't. See, the thing is, my research was very poor. Like, आज तुम लोग को the kind of information you got today, I had no clue about. मैंने CA inter तक clear भले किया हो. I may have gone to an IIM, but I had no clue about the various roles in finance. And I'm sure that even today, there are 80% of the IIM graduates have no clue about what kind of jobs they are going to get into. So I didn't really know what I was getting into. But I was like, ठीक है, at least like Radisson में breakfast करने के लिए बुला रहे हैं. So great, I'll go there. So I went in the morning. I was speaking to them. They were very nice. They said, come over. We are figuring out whether we should send you to Mumbai or Delhi. And I am a Mumbaiker, so I'm like, really sir, Mumbai. And they are like, join नहीं किया उसके पहले location preferences. They said, no, we'll figure out. We'll see what is best for you. And even then, honestly, I did not have a very clear idea of what I was going to do. 1 week later, I get a call from like this American accent-speaking guy who says that I need your details for your visa to the US. And I'm like, ye kahan se aaya? Suddenly out of nowhere. They told me that I need to go to New York for training and stuff like that. And that's how my Bank of America Merrill Lynch journey started. I think it was one of the best accidents to have happened to my life because it gave me great exposure to the world of banking, to the kind of work that happens in a bank. For the first time, I truly understood what are the various divisions in a bank, what is it that they do. I was specifically part of something which has become extremely hot today. When you do, how many people here use Bheem? Or have you used, for example, Google Pay or Phone Pay or anything of that sort? A lot of it is based on the technology called the Unified Payment Interface, which is developed by NPCI, which is a Government of India body. My job was to actually interface with them at that point of time because for a lot of our clients at Bank of America, we were trying to build solutions which were very, very innovative and tech-oriented at that point of time. And look, I am again not an engineer, but most of my work involved trying to figure out ways in which we can make payments better for people. And I honestly did not have any clue at that point of time in 2011-12 that payments is going to become so big in India. Like I honestly did not have any vision about that because obviously we were working on the corporate side. So our job was primarily to ensure that the money remained in the system. So for example, how is it that banks make money? Like you must have, anybody who's an accountant here would have seen something called as net interest margin that banks keep on reporting, right? So for that to happen, you need to ensure that you have large amount of balances which stay in the system in your own bank. Essentially, at one point of time, my job was to just ensure that our top clients are maintaining the highest amount of balances with us because interest rates in India at that point of time had peaked. So we used to actually make a lot of money just on float. And if we are able to deliver more innovative payment solutions, then we ensure that we can make fee revenue as well. So one is that, so for example, I don't know if you guys have seen your bank statements, but you might be charged sometimes for ATM fee or the fee sometimes for just like, there used to be some ridiculous banks who used to even charge you for downloading a statement. Even now if you go to a branch and if you want a statement to submit to a visa application, they would charge you for that. So take this to at a corporate level where most banks at that point of time were saying, okay, we can't be dependent only on the interest income that we make. We need to ensure that we are increasing the amount of money that we make via fees. So for that, if you're able to come up with innovative tech-oriented solutions, you will be able to increase the amount of fees that you make from a particular client. So essentially that is what my job pertained, and I had to do like 4 rotations in the corporate side. Then I was moved to financial institutions. Then I was also asked to do a stint in trade finance. At the end of all of that, at some point of time, it also involved, like I said, a couple of months in the US to learn things, interact with a completely different side of, different culture and people who. So I had also gone on exchange, so I had an experience in terms of working with students from different parts of the world. But when you go and work with people who are from different parts of the world in the workplace, the experience is very, very different. You realize great differences in the way things are approached, and that was also a great learning. Like our induction program had 500 graduates who were picked up that year from the top universities in the world, like Stanford, Harvard, Oxford, etc. And to get a chance to interact with them and see where you lack, I think that also is a great experience that you get. So when someone is asking this question about whether I should go for a big brand versus whether I should start small, my personal list is that if you have the option to go and join a big brand, especially when you are young, it might be a great opportunity because if you get to see scale at an early age and if you get to experience that brand at an early stage, it's okay, eventually you might not continue there. It probably is a great advantage. Also, it's a great branding for you as on your own resume and your CV. Because unfortunately, I think a lot of the world is driven by perception. If you have big brands with you, it more often than not helps you. If you look at, jobs is anyway a problem in India, and when there are thousands of people applying for one job, and even within the financial services space, the number of jobs are very few. A lot of people who are applying for jobs. The only way for all these guys to filter it is to look at certain brands in your CV. I'm not saying that's the right way to hire, but I'm just saying that it definitely gives you an advantage to be looked at. You might probably at least get called for an interview because you have a certain brand on your resume. So I just say keep that in mind. Just to conclude the story, about 14-15 months into the job, I as a hobby started InsideIIM.com as a blog. That in the early days of Facebook virality, a lot of the content there became viral, and that kind of again gave me a kick, saying that this might be an interesting thing to now try. This is my chance to maybe try and be an entrepreneur, and let's try and attempt it. So then I quit my job and then I got into that full time. So it took me another year after that to just incorporate the company, get a tech guy to come and build the platform properly, switch it from a blog to something more than just a blog. And yeah, since then it's been about 5.5 years since the company got incorporated, and I've only been doing this full time. In terms of how finance helps me today, I think apart from the fact that I can do accounting because I learned accounting in my undergrad, just generally things around valuation, understanding equity, if I'm going to hire someone, how much equity percentage I should give someone, whether how does that entire thing work. Those are definitely like a lot of strategic calls, job that I have, which is like running my own company. So that's essentially been my journey. I'm not an expert at anything with respect to finance. So, for example, all these guys here have spent, even Neeti spent like more than 4 years doing just pure finance work. I've never done anything of that sort. So my view is a very generalist kind of a view, and also from someone who did not have a very clear direction with respect to how to build a career. But yeah, the idea was to just give you that diversity of I'm sure a lot of you will also go through periods like this, but it turns out fine. It's not too bad. So thank you so much.
Ankit was very he was just go-to person, I feel, because he was so much clear. Like at times people don't really tell about their failures because they don't want to share what they are weak at. But he was really cool about whatever he did. So it was really nice to know that at times people are not clear, but it is okay, and you should always move on and try to understand things.
Best part was Ankit's speech, about the whole experience that he shared with us. I think it was really helpful, and it made us feel it is okay to not have a path very clear to where you want to be, and it's fine. So it made us feel okay. It's okay to be like that.